But the bottom line is this, that when you have this understanding that I'm going to be sharing with you today, this will allow you to have more clarity about more options available to you. You'll have a greater sense of empowerment, or at least you could have a greater sense of empowerment that will allow you to know what you want and achieve what you want with greater ease, because you'll have more clarity about what's really going on instead of just feeling like you got hit upside the head by a 2x4 coming out of nowhere. You'll actually have more understanding of what your experience is and where that experience is coming from and what your relationship with that experience is and how to navigate that to best achieve whatever outcomes you're wanting. So the first thing is this, and you've probably heard me say this before, but it probably can't be said too many times because it's one of the most fundamental things. And failure to understand this is what holds many people back, perhaps most people back, from actually experiencing what it is that they want. And that is, you have to know what you actually want. And most people do not consciously acknowledge what it is that they really want. And this is a huge obstacle because if you don't know what you want, then you have no way of measuring anything else in your life. Okay, so if I was to say to you, well, I really feel like I've made a mistake. And, you might say, oh, that sounds terrible to have made a mistake. But how do I know that I've made a mistake? What allows me to have that understanding? Well, the only way I could understand that would be if I know what I want, because a mistake can only be defined by first knowing what it is that I want. Otherwise, how do I know it's a mistake? An action is just an action. Whatever is happening is just what's happening. It doesn't have any meaning inherently. The meaning is a meaning that we assign to it, and we assign that meaning if we're doing it in an intelligent way. We assign that meaning relative to what it is that we want. Otherwise, the meaning that we assign is likely of no value at all. In fact, it may just be causing lots of problems. Because if I say, I've made a mistake and I have a judgment that mistakes are bad, then there I am. I'm stuck with this notion that I've made a mistake and mistakes are bad. But how do I know? I have to first know what I want, because I can't know if I've made a mistake unless I know what I want. So knowing what you want is really, really important. And so this is true for pretty much across the board. Whatever your struggles are in life, you might well be wasting your time in the struggle because you could be struggling with something you don't even want. Let's say that you want to go, well, let's say you haven't yet gotten clarity about where you want to go in life. And let's just talk about this in terms of taking a journey geographically. Okay, so you could be heading west and you could get into a terrible traffic jam. And there you are, you're just stuck in the traffic jam and you're just really fighting with this traffic jam and frustrated and feeling powerless. And then somebody comes along and they say, hey, where are you going? And you kind of scratch your head and you say, gee, I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going this way. The person says, yeah, but why are you going this way? What's your destination? And you think about it a little bit and you realize, well, I don't know. So you think about it a little bit more and you realize where you actually want to go is east. Well, then you don't need to fight with this traffic jam. So a lot of the time, what happens is that our energy is wrapped up in struggling with, fighting with things, and we make the mistake of thinking have to overcome this, or I have to deal with this. This is just how life is. This is for me. It's my struggle. But if you don't know what you want, then how do you know it's your struggle? Could be somebody else's struggle. Could be the struggle in the direction of something that you don't want. Why waste your time and energy on that? But if you tell the truth, you can just probably recognize maybe a little bit of this from your own life. Certainly, you can observe this in other people's lives. People are just caught up in struggles without questioning whether that struggle is actually for them. If you want something, and the only way to achieve that is through struggle, then maybe you could say that overcoming that struggle is worthwhile. But if you have struggle, that the only thing you're going to get out of that is struggle. Is that actually worthwhile? Probably not. So it's an error to think that struggle is somehow inherently worth overcoming. It depends what you want. So if there is something that you want, and the only way to achieve it is through struggle, then overcoming that struggle is worthwhile. But trying to overcome struggle that's not actually leading to what you want is a waste of your time and energy. But the only way to know the difference between the two types of struggles is to know what you want.